You know what nobody talks about? How some people didn't choose to be alone. They were trained for it. And I'm not talking about only introverts who need to recharge. I'm talking about something way deeper. Something that happened before you even knew what the hell was going on. Before you could put words to it. I'm talking about the kind of aloneness that feels like safety. The kind that wraps around you like armor. The kind that makes you look at a crowded room and think, yeah, I'm good right here by myself. And here's the thing that'll piss some people off. That's not unsocial behavior. That's survival. See, while everyone else is out here calling you a loner, or saying you just don't like people, or telling you to get out more, nobody's asking why you ended up this way. Nobody's connecting the dots back to where it all started. Back to the house you grew up in. Back to the family that was supposed to be your safe place, but ended up being the reason you learned to build walls so high, nobody can climb them. So let's talk about it. Let's pull back the curtain on the 5 signs that your family's toxicity didn't just hurt you. It rewired you into someone who finds peace in distance and danger in closeness. And if you've ever wondered why you are the way you are, keep reading, because what you're about to see might finally make everything click. Let me ask you something. When you're by yourself, when it's just you, your thoughts, and maybe some music or a book, how do you feel? Calm, right? Peaceful, like you can finally breathe. Now think about being around people, even people you like, even family gatherings or friend hangouts that are supposed to be fun. How do you feel then? Drained, on edge, like you're performing, like you're waiting for the other shoe to drop, and everyone else is looking at you like, why are you so quiet? Why are you leaving early? Why don't you ever come out? But here's what they don't get. You're not avoiding people because you're weird. You're avoiding them because your nervous system learned a long time ago that people equal danger. Let me break it down. When you were a kid, being around your family didn't feel safe. Maybe it was loud. Maybe it was tense. Maybe you never knew if mom was gonna snap, or if dad was gonna come home in a bad mood, or if your siblings were gonna gang up on you for no damn reason. Maybe dinner wasn't just dinner. It was a minefield. One wrong word and boom, someone's yelling, someone's crying, someone's slamming doors. So your brain, your brilliant adaptive brain, started making a connection. Alone is equal to calm. People is equal to chaos. And that didn't just go away when you grew up. That wiring stayed. It's still there, right now, today. That's why when you're alone, your body relaxes. Your shoulders drop. Your jaw unclenches. You're not scanning for danger. You're not reading the room. You're just existing. But when you're with people, even good people, your system's on alert, waiting, watching, protecting. And here's the kicker. Society loves to call that unsocial, loves to make you feel broken for needing space. But let me tell you something, you're not broken, you're adapted. Your body learned what it needed to learn to keep you safe. And if needing time alone is what brings you peace, that's not a flaw. That's wisdom. That's your system saying, hey, we survived some shit, and we're not going back into toxicity. So yeah, you feel safer alone than with toxic people. And that's not something to fix. That's something to honor, because most people can't even recognize the hell they are living in. Here's another one that'll sound familiar. Someone offers to help you. A friend, a partner. Doesn't matter who. And instead of saying, yeah, thanks, your first instinct is to say, nah, I'm good, I got it. Even when you don't got it. Even when you're drowning. Even when accepting help would make your life 10 times easier, you'd rather struggle alone than ask for anything. And people think that's pride, or stubbornness, or you being too arrogant. But that's not what it is. It's protection, because somewhere along the way you learned that needing people comes with a price. Let me paint the picture. You were a kid. You needed something. Maybe it was emotional support. Maybe it was help with homework. Maybe it was just someone to listen. And what happened? They ignored you, or they made you feel stupid for asking. Or they helped you, but then held it over your head later. After everything I do for you, this is how you act. So you learned real quick. Depending on people leads to disappointment, manipulation, or shame. And your brain said, okay, cool, let's not do that again. So you became the kid who figured things out on their own. The one who didn't ask for rides. The one who solved their own problems. The one who smiled and said, I'm fine even when they weren't. And now as an adult, you've perfected it. You don't need anyone. You handle your own shit. You'd rather break your back trying than admit you need help. Because to you, independence isn't just a personality trait. It's dignity. Dependency? That feels dangerous. That feels like giving someone power over you. And you've already been powerless once. You're not going back. But here's the brutal truth nobody wants to hear. That hyper-independence, it's exhausting. And it's lonely sometimes. Because deep down you do want connection. You do want someone to show up for you. You just don't trust that they will. And that's not your fault. That's what happens when the people who were supposed to be reliable weren't. So now you carry everything yourself, and you wonder why you feel so damn tired all the time. Let me guess. Someone crosses a line with you just once, and you're done. No second chances, no long conversations, no working it out. You just disappear. Block, delete, ghost, gone. And people look at you like you're cold, like you're overreacting, like you're too sensitive or too extreme. But here's what they don't understand. You're not cutting people off because you can't forgive. You're cutting them off because you already forgave too much. You already spent your whole childhood tolerating disrespect. You tolerated being yelled at, being ignored, being dismissed, being blamed for shit that wasn't your fault. You tolerated boundaries being stomped on, privacy being invaded, feelings being mocked. You tolerated apologies that never came, accountability that didn't exist, the same toxic patterns on repeat, and you swallowed it. Because you were a kid, because you had no choice, because you were told that's just how they are, or family is family, or get over it. So you got over it, again and again and again, until one day you didn't. One day you grew up, and you realized something powerful. You don't have to tolerate shit anymore. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to give people multiple chances to hurt you. You don't have to communicate with someone who refuses to respect you. You can just leave, and that's exactly what you do now. To others it looks harsh. It looks like you're shutting people out for small things. But to you, it's not small. It's the line you drew in the sand after years of having no lines at all. It's self-respect born from exhaustion. You're not cold, you're clear. You know what you will and won't tolerate. And you're done wasting energy on people who don't value you. That's not cruelty, that's boundaries. And honestly, the world could use more of that. Here's the scene. You're at a party, a gathering, a work event. Doesn't matter. And while everyone else is talking, laughing, jumping into conversations, you're just watching. You're in the corner, or the edge of the group, or pretending to be on your phone. But really, you're observing. You're reading the room. You're picking up on who's fake, who's genuine, who's pretending, who's uncomfortable. You see everything, and people notice. They say things like, "You're so quiet," or "Why don't you talk more?" or "Are you okay?" And you just smile and nod, because how the hell do you explain this? How do you tell them that you're not shy, you're strategic, that you learned a long time ago that participation has consequences? Let me take you back. When you were a kid, speaking up got you in trouble. Expressing your opinion led to arguments. Sharing your feelings made you a target. Maybe you told the truth once and got punished for it. Maybe you stood up for yourself and got shut down. Maybe you cried and got told you were too emotional or dramatic. So you adapted. You learned to watch instead of engage. You learned to stay quiet and read the energy of the room before deciding if it was safe to speak. You became a master at predicting reactions, at spotting red flags, at knowing who to trust and who to avoid. And that skill, that didn't go away. It's still with you, right now. That's why you don't jump into conversations. That's why you don't overshare. That's why you take your time before letting someone in, because you're not being unsocial. You're being careful. You're using the emotional intelligence you were forced to develop just to survive your own home. And yeah, it makes you seem distant. It makes people think you're not interested or not engaged. But the truth is, you're more engaged than anyone in that room. You're just engaging differently. You're listening. You're analyzing. You're protecting yourself. And honestly, that's a superpower. Not everyone can read people the way you can. Not everyone sees through the bullshit. You do, because you had to. All right, last one. And this might hit the hardest. You ever sit in a room full of people and feel completely alone? Not because they're ignoring you, not because they're mean, but because the conversation feels empty, Surface level, small talk, weather, weekend plans. Some bullshit trending topic. And you're sitting there thinking, is this it? Is this really all we're doing here? Because you don't want to talk about the weather. You want to talk about what keeps people up at night. You want to know what scares them, what drives them, what they've survived. You want depth, you want meaning. You want someone to see past the surface and actually connect. But most people, they're not going there. They're staying shallow, staying safe, staying comfortable. And that's fine for them. But for you? Shallow connection feels worse than no connection at all. Because here's what happened. You grew up emotionally starved. You grew up unseen, misunderstood, dismissed. Nobody asked how you really felt. Nobody cared about what was going on inside your head. Nobody saw you. They saw what they wanted to see, or what was convenient. So now as an adult, you're not interested in more of that. You're not interested in people who don't go deep, who don't ask real questions, who don't want to know the real you. You'd rather be alone than surrounded by people who make you feel invisible. And that's why you have no friends. Not because you can't make them, not because you're incapable, but because few people meet your standard. And that's not arrogance, that's self-preservation. You're not willing to settle for breadcrumbs when you've been starving your whole life. You want the full meal, or nothing. And until you find people who can match that depth, you're good on your own. So here's what it all comes down to. Here's the thing nobody wants to say out loud but needs to be said. Your early life didn't teach you how to trust people. They taught you how to endure people. They didn't show you that relationships could be safe. They showed you that people hurt you, disappoint you, manipulate you, abandon you. So you grew into someone who chooses peace over proximity, solitude over disrespect, depth over quantity. You didn't become a loner because you're broken. You became one because your nervous system adapted to survive. And here's the powerful part, the part that changes everything. A trauma-born loner who is healed becomes something rare. You become calm, selective, emotionally intelligent, hard to manipulate, deeply loyal to the few you choose. You become someone who doesn't need people, but chooses them. And that's a completely different energy. You become someone who knows their worth, who doesn't settle, who doesn't beg, who doesn't chase. You become someone who sits in their solitude like a throne. Not because you're lonely, but because you're free. And that's not weakness, that's not something to fix. That's refinement. That's you taking the pain you went through and turning it into power. You're just someone who learned the hard way that not everyone deserves access to you. And now you protect that access like it's sacred. Because it is. If you made it this far, I want you to know something. You're not alone in this. You're just someone who survived something hard. And your survival looked like solitude, like independence, like walls. And that's okay. You don't have to apologize for how you cope. You don't have to force yourself to be more social, more open, more available just because someone else thinks you should be. You get to move at your own pace. You get to heal in your own way. You get to choose who gets close and who doesn't. And if that makes you a loner, good. Be a loner. Be selective. Be protective of your peace. Because the people who are worth it, they'll understand. They'll respect it. They'll meet you where you are, not where they think you should be. And until then, you're good on your own. If this hit home, do others a favor. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. Drop a comment and let me know which sign resonated the most. And if you're not subscribed yet, hit that button. Because we're just getting started with these, and soon we will dive more deeper than before. You're seen, you're understood, and you're not broken. You're just awake.